is the third biggest mistake that we see. If you don't have an athletic stance, nothing else matters. We covered that first. Then we went into having some movement. We don't want stagnant feet. The third biggest mistake that we see is coaches that teach the crossover step. And I know I'm ruffling feathers here. I know I'm offending some people. I don't care. If you don't agree with me, that's perfectly all right. You're allowed to be wrong. When we teach a crossover step, basically what we're teaching our athletes to do, let's get down in that athletic stance here. We're getting ready, we're going to go down, we're going to steal second base. When we teach a crossover step, we want this foot to remain planted. We want the trail leg, the left leg, to drive across. Okay, so let's go ahead and slow motion show that crossover step. Okay, what we've done there is basically taken all explosive power out of the first step. We can all agree that the first step is the most important. The first step is what gets you your jump. So what we're looking to do, instead of a crossover step, what we want is what we call a directional step. If you watch any of the major league speed demons, any of the guys that are up there every year at the top of the stolen bases, I can guarantee you every single one of them takes this front leg and pivots on this front leg. That's their initial movement combined with a drive on their back leg. So we're doing two things at the same time. We're taking a little bit of a step, picking our foot up. We could just barely slide a credit card under our toes here as we rotate this back and extend through full extension here. Okay, it's real tough to demonstrate slow motion, but we're going to turn and drive at the same time. What this is going to allow us to do is going to get us that little bit of push off of this back leg instead of just picking it up and moving it. It's always easier to push something than to pick it up and move it. So we want the push on the back leg and the quick directional step on the front leg for our initial step. What we accomplish there is what we call the plyometric effect. If we're going to jump, Craig, come on over here. Craig's a short guy. I'm not a tall guy, he's a short guy. I want him to jump without bending your knees. Jump. You got nothing. Okay? The plyometric effect is when we bend our knees into a jump, we're creating elastic energy in our muscles. And like rubber bands, when we stretch them, they fire. You have to bend your knees in order to get explosive power. Go ahead, bend your knees and jump. Should be no surprise that he was able to get a whole lot higher there. The exact same thing goes with that little directional step. What we accomplish here by picking up and turning and driving back to the ground, we're creating elastic stored energy to get a good plyometric effect off of that front leg. So we're not trying to muscle through our first step. We want to use physics to our advantage. We want to use that elastic stored energy that we can create real quick and fire it into the ground to get us an explosive first step instead of trying to muscle through it. So let's go ahead. I want you to do a crossover step. No directional, just a crossover. He still gave us a little bit of a directional step, but not as much. Now let's see it with the directional step. See how that kicking that leg out, getting the directional, getting the positive shin angle that we're looking for, really gets him to want to fire down the line a whole lot faster. So if you're teaching the crossover step, please stop. It's making your ball players slower.